Show me.
Hey guys, it's me, Goose, again. Welcome back to Goose's Crackpot Theories. The Clayface trailer just dropped.
Show me.
But first, if you enjoy watching middle-aged men commentate on new movie trailers and releases, then please stick around. You are in the right place. You're among friends here, okay? And if you could please do me a huge favor and hit the subscribe button, it is the best way that you can show that this channel is something that you enjoy and that you want to see more of. Once again, I am Goose. This is Goose's Crackpot Theories, and let's get into the trailer for That's Clayface.
Do you realize?
So Clayface comes on the heels of the recently released, that was a bunch of years ago, Joker, in which Joaquin Phoenix played the Joker and was received with critic acclaim. Problem with the Joker is that they made a sequel, and people didn't really like that one. Todd Phillips was quoted, and don't quote me on this because I cannot find a source for it, that if he ever had to be brought back to do a sequel, that he was going to make it terrible. He wanted to make it a musical, and it's what we got. And it wasn't amazing. I didn't mind it, but I didn't like it either, and I haven't watched it after the first time. So, but this would be about the fourth entry, including the two Joker movies, The Penguin, and now this movie, in the line of sort of DC Knights. DC, whatever the equivalent is to the Marvel Knights, like the darker, edgier, grittier tone when it comes to things like this. It's more the featuring villains as being in the place of a hero sort of idea, and it's like an Elseworlds thing. I know that there's a term for this in DC. I know that there was like a DC Red or a DC, you know, like I know there was like an extreme DC, you know, universe where these comics reside in, where the Joker is Joaquin Phoenix and not the Irish guy, don't remember his name, lovely chap. Anywho, the trailer opens with a view of what appears to be something similar to a Hannibal Lecter mask, which is pretty gosh darn cool, I gotta say. I am really into the way that they are leaning into the weirdness of Clayface and like sort of the Phantom of the Opera type atmosphere that surrounds the character himself. I believe that the original, the Basil Karloff version was actually an actor. He was sort of the episode of the animated series was a bit of an homage to the story of Phantom of the Opera, and by the end, you know, it was sort of a thread that was left hanging, which is pretty, like, I think that he makes a really good Batman villain. So I did look it up, and it looks like the New 52 version mixed with DC Rebirth, mixed with sort of that episode's arc from Batman the Animated Series is kind of where they're taking inspiration for this version of Clayface. It's sort of a smash up of all three. Now, there's a universe in my headcanon in which this actress plays Pamela Isley of Poison Ivy fame, but that's a long shot at best. I have no indicator to tell me whether or not that's actually Pamela Isley. I'm just saying that that would be really cool if that turned out to be a little Easter egg. I doubt she would ever, if it was, she would never become Poison Ivy, but you know, that's a theory for a different video, I'd say. And so as she's asking him to remove his mask so she can take a look at his face, we can see that he is just covered in scars from his ruthless mob attack. Presumably, spoilers for the trailer that we're watching right now.
What do you want, Mr. Egan?
I want my life back.
I know you. You're famous.
The most beautiful face.
It's a tragedy what they did to him.
Now, I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but the DC logo looks clean in this. I don't know if this is a new design or if I'm just kind of like seeing it in a new setting for this particular trailer, but it's looking good. It's looking fresh, updated. It really looks relevant to what's going on. It's all like, you know, faded, but it's like, but it looks nice and crisp against the backdrop of this sort of dystopian Gotham, I guess. Probably New York or Chicago, again, as has been the very common setting for most of these sort of Elseworld stories. It's not really any particular place. It's just kind of nowhere USA. Yep, it's Gotham for sure. You can see a sign there that says The Narrows, which means that this would probably have to be post-Penguin series, I'm guessing. I don't think they're really going to try to rope anything into this particular film, unless, you never know. You never know. Maybe Penguin will make a cameo. There is a lot of like mob ties that this character seems to have, and so it seems perhaps possible that, you know, we're we're gonna get a cameo from the Penguin himself at some point. But this is definitely Gotham, and you know, hey, Batman lives here. Hey, Joker lives here. Hey, some potential Robins live here. The Riddler lives here, and all his fans and followers, they all live here. This is basically. And when last we left Batman, which I know was more than a few years ago, it was the town was flooded, and there were a bunch of people that got unalived, and the Penguin, his assistant that he then killed, his family was wiped out in the flood. All this kind of stuff happened, and Bella Real, I believe, is the name of the mayor or the person who's currently in charge of overseeing what's going on in the city. I think still at this point, but we don't know. We know barely. We know very little about this world post-Batman, aside from whatever we saw in Penguin. And it wasn't a lot. Those stories were pretty intimate and kind of very locally based to the Penguin in general. So we didn't see a lot of the city at large, which I think we're going to in this one. It seems pretty sprawling. Confirming that this is indeed a bit of a mashup between different Clayface variants, which is fine because there's 60 years of history that they have to cover for the exposition that they're going to give to one character here, so they're gonna have to mash them all together. It makes sense. So his name in this is Matt Hagen, but he's an actor, right? Rising star, which is what Basil Karlo was in the original appearances of Clayface. And then he receives, I believe, an experimental treatment for a mob hit, which again blends the New 52 and the Rebirth series together. So there's a lot of I don't want to say that they're like conflicting things. They're complementary, but they're definitely different aspects of different Clayfaces that they're just kind of smushing into an amalgam, if you will. I'm not quite sure who this is or who they're playing. A lot of the actors in this I really have never heard of before, which is really cool. It actually it shows me, because I don't watch a lot of TV. Like I will enjoy a movie so much more if it has names in it that I don't recognize, because it allows me to strip away some of the stuff that I'm kind of projecting onto them from things I've seen them in. Like if I was to see Ryan Reynolds in something like this, I'd be like, okay, Deadpool's playing a Batman character now. You know what I mean? And that I could go off all day on a tangent about why I don't think celebrities need to keep getting paid the amount that they do just for name and face recognition, but that may be an issue for another video. What we're seeing here is we're seeing a person who is talking to Clayface, potentially in a voiceover, and we don't know who she is. I don't know who she is. You guys may know who she is, but I certainly don't, and I'm excited to find out. In the original story, I believe the animated series, they did this a version of this that was more teen friendly, but they did a piece from the comics where he attacks, I think he disfigures an actress or something, like one of his co-stars, and this could be sort of the parallel for that, but his whole reasoning for it was that he was just going crazy, but I think she eventually turns into a villain herself. This I'm not quite certain of, but I vaguely remember that she came back in the animated series as like a member of like a villain team, but I don't remember if I'm remembering that or Batman Beyond. Let me know in the comments if you have more information on that than I do. So this is definitely an element from either the New 52 or DC Rebirth, because the big storyline for Basil Karlo was that he got attacked in a mob hit. I don't remember exactly the circumstances of the mob hit. I think it was something of like he got stuck in the middle of something, and this was basically him getting caught in the crossfire, sticking his nose where it didn't belong, kind of thing. Later on in the trailer, he says something about his friends betraying him, so it seems like maybe he was set up to take a fall of some sort here. Maybe he was, like trying to be friendly and civil with an upstart actor that then took him out in a way, I guess you could say, which would lead to him getting his face disfigured by some angry ne'er-do-well gentleman, as you can see. Boo.
No, no, no. I'd like to volunteer for human trials.
This isn't cosmetic surgery.
Even if it kills me, I'll be better off than I am now.
All right, so bear with me here, guys. I'm gonna try and use some young person speak for a second, okay? This guy looks chopped. He looks chopped to hell. Did I do good? Did I do good? Did I use good language? So this is probably, I think it's called New Grow or New Glow or something like Shinola. Let your sun glow! But this is, I think, supposed to be a regenerative polymer based, I don't know, something that would like equate to the ability to shapeshift or equate to the ability to become permeable or something like that. It has something to do with like regenerative qualities, because in the original run with Carlo, he was getting old or he was disfigured or something like that, and he needed to become young and vibrant again. And so this is again the same thing. It's a mishmash, and I really like it. I like the direction that they're going so far. They're really going wacky with it, and I'm into it. The more that we can start doing like more comic book stuff, I think the more people are going to be less afraid of doing it in the future. And if James Gunn gets his, universe off the ground and it receives better acclaim than Supergirl did, which that's a whole barrel of monkeys there. But if he can get it off the ground, he can get a good fan base and get people excited about it, then other creators will see that and they'll start doing more comic booky stuff. And so I'm super excited to see that kind of stuff. I really want to see more of that. Like, I don't know why, but it's scenes like this and details like this that always make me squeamish. I don't mind, gore or blood or things like that, but for some reason or another, when it comes to like uncontrollable illnesses that like that damage the skin or the face, like I get the willies, and so seeing this makes me so uncomfortable. It seems like he's in a lot of pain, and it's some really good CGI going on where it looks like he's maybe even being like choked by the clay that is now consuming him.
Matt. What?
I'm okay.
You okay?
I'm okay. I feel great, actually.
And then he's good. He's up. He's good. It looks like he's totally fine, except for the, splashes of body juice that seem to be leaking out of him in some respect. But you know what? I think a win's a win in this situation. He looks okay. My boy looks great. He looks like he's in fighting shape. Two things I'm thinking about this unlikely duo, a scientist and a actor. And additional reasoning why I think that this might be maybe Pamela Isley. It's still just a theory that's in my head, but you never know. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. What leads me to believe this, however, is not only is she probably, I think, a biologist or some kind of scientist that is going to make this breakthrough miracle, serum that allows him to regain his looks, but also because she's in the game of experimenting on humans, potentially maybe a serum that might enhance her love of plants or something. I don't know. She's not dressed in green, so I don't assume that they're trying to give us any kind of overt hints about anything, but I'm just thinking that it would be very cool. And maybe by the end of the movie, she injects herself with some serum and we get a little bit of a breadcrumb cliffhanger for something else, right? Just like we did in Batman. The other thing that could potentially be true is that instead of this whole Pamela Isley thing, perhaps she could just be, dissatisfied with her own life, and maybe she's upset about all the other stuff that's happening in Gotham, and she doesn't like what's happening, and she, wants to maybe take justice into her own hands. Potentially she becomes a Lady Clayface, which is a character which does exist in the comics, which, basically just took on the mantle of Clayface in the absence of, I believe, Matt Hagen or, Carlo. But the point is, maybe by the end of this, maybe we see something similar to at the end of the animated series episode where it shows the lady with the face is all messed up. Maybe it'll show her with her face all messed up. Now she's a clay lady, you never know.
I have no idea what side effects she'll have or how to treat them.
Sir, the seatbelt sign is on.
We're in unknown territory.
Now, if this shot doesn't make your skin crawl, then I think you're probably a reptilian, because this is creepy as fudge. All right. I don't like the idea of not being able to see, which, is a thing I think a lot of people are afraid of. I think it's not really an irrational fear. That's one of our most important senses, as I'm sure most people know. The problem here is that his clay's gone runny, and he needs to try and find a way to see, but I don't see any eyeballs in there. If you didn't notice, I don't see an eyeball. I think that he's kind of like clayed up his entire eye socket there. Okay, you can kind of see his eye a little bit there, but I'm afraid of what's about to happen. Yep, I don't like this. I really don't like this. No. Okay. No. I'm gonna keep my eyes closed and we'll move on. Though, as an aside, this shot definitely reminds me of that one movie that I think film buffs will definitely remember, where there's I believe it's black and white, and there's a razor blade that is cutting an eye open, which was rumored to be a real eye that the actor who was doing it actually did to themselves without any flinching or pain or anything. And true, that might be a hyped up story, like that was something way more benign, but still true. You know, you never know. That's one of those Hollywood stories.
What's happening to me?
If you're harboring feelings of anger, you need to let them go.
You wanna know how I feel? The people I trusted betrayed me. The justice system failed me. They stole my career, my money, my life.
I just want to point out that this looks exactly like the panel from a comic book, and it feels really cool to see. There appears to be a mix of CG and practical effects at work here, which is, you know, I think that's just the way to go from now on. Now here she starts to say if he's harboring feelings of anger, he needs to let them go, which is definitely a driving force behind how Clayface transforms. Now, as a disclaimer, I don't think that he's necessarily an anger or emotion-based villain. I just know that a lot of stories like this, though, oftentimes protagonists will gain a power boost when they get angry, and that's definitely going to come into play at some point. As we've seen in the animated series a few times, he's shown that he can shapeshift into bigger and badder things the more angry or upset or intense that he's getting, or the fight's getting. It kind of has to do with a little bit of, it kind of just does whatever the plot needs it to do, but it is a thing, so it's kind of cool that they're mentioning this right now. Also, this Twisted Memories thing appears to be like a wolf or a monster of some sort. There's a ticket taker booth, but I'm not certain what the ride is doing. Maybe a roller coaster? But also, man, shout out to Len's Chicken Shop. Fried chicken, wings, corn on the cob, beer and soda. That sounds like and a family arcade, Adventureland. These are all places I would like to go. I feel like they filmed this in San Francisco. This all feels very San Francisco to me. I don't know if you knew, but I am a San Francisco area native. You can definitely tell that this is going to be some really good cinematography. There's some great angles here, and I'm seeing a lot of like sort of skewed symmetry. Over time, as we've gotten into more modern design options for things like movies and whatnot, comic books as well, we start to go outside of the boxes and the lines, but skew them a little bit. So we're still adhering to a lot of formulaic stuff that works, but we're also coloring outside the lines, and I think that's really awesome to see how nuanced art gets over time, and this definitely counts. Now, I think Penguin owned a few places over the years, but I don't recall Vesuvius being one of them. I could be wrong, but I think there could be other, like Falcone or Carmine Falcone, or someone else involved in these that's like a mob tied. Some of these guys are probably passed away at this point, which means this could be based years ago, decades ago even, but I think it's probably a common era, a modern era, because of just the look of the Gotham police cars. They look to be about at least 92,000 series Dodge Crown Victorias. I think they're Dodge, Chevy Crown Victorias, you know, but I could be wrong on that as well. I am not a car guy, so please feel free to correct me in the comments if you are. Now, I don't exactly know why in this scene they're trying to frame it like she's running from Matt Hagen himself, especially considering the fact that she was supposed to be the one that helped him, but there could be some kind of betrayal further on into the movie after Act 1. There could be some kind of a doubling back, there could be a double cross, there could be some kind of disagreement or something that they have, or because Clayface, the Carlo version, becomes increasingly unhinged over the arc that he's in. It could just be that. It could be that he's going insane in the membrane and he's lashing out at the last people who helped him in trying to go on this revenge rampage that he's going on.
I'm a monster.
I have no idea who you are.
Now, I'm not sure who this is, but I can tell you it doesn't appear to be Hagen, nor does it appear to be anyone that we've seen in the trailer so far. At least it could have been in one of the quick shots of the people who were scarring his face, but I didn't get that good of a look. And I am interested to know what's going on in this scene. I have a feeling that this is just Matt killing somebody, and he's definitely not a good guy in any of his iterations, so I would find it hard to believe he would be in this one. So he's probably gonna take a reasonable body count over the film's course. Now, the way that he wipes his face is exactly the opposite of the way that it worked in the last trailer that came out, which was mostly just the teaser, I believe. In that one, he has a normal face, wipes his face, and then it's all smudged, but this is him appearing to gain some amount of control over his shape-shifting abilities, which I believe we're probably going to see in full force by the end of the film. Again, I am sure that there are going to be some amazing visuals in this, and even just a scene of somebody punching Matt and his face just going all gooey is extremely cool. And it's like satisfying. It's, you know how people like those viral videos where everyone's all doing stuff with like slime and clay and kinetic sand? This is exactly like that. Ferrofluid, all that kind of stuff. It gives you the same sense of satisfaction, like to see that sort of deformity in something, you know? It's like the "is it cake" meme. Well, I think it's clear at this point that she's done something to piss off the great Claymaster. Unfortunately, I think that this means that our co-star might be on the chopping block herself, unless she's able to inject herself with a magical serum that gives her Clayface powers. Or has magical plant powers, because then she's poison ivy for some reason. You never know. You never know. Don't cyberbully me. Well, there you have it. That is DC Studios' Clayface. It comes out on October 23rd, and I, for one, am pretty excited to see it. Matt Hagen playing the part of Basil Carlo, playing the part of all the other Clayfaces, playing the part of each other, all mishmashed together with seemingly all the violence and visceral contact that we are expecting to see. It's going to be another dark entry into the DC Elseworlds style storytelling where the villain becomes the hero for once. Although Clayface is a hero at many times in the comics, and I believe is currently a full-fledged hero now. Anywho, I've been Goose. Thank you very much for hanging out, and I hope to make more videos like this in the future, but the best way that you can help me do that is by subscribing and ideally liking, or maybe say hi in the comments. You know, I like building this community between us, and I've got 2 other channels that I think are gonna introduce whole other aspects of community into the Goose style network. Don't know why I said style, but thanks again, and I appreciate you, and I hope that you go hug a loved one and drink some water, all right? And just remember that even though times can get tough, times are pretty tough right now, it is sweltering hot in here, just remember that you're important, and that you matter, and that I respect you. Thanks again. I'm Goose. Have a good day.